Well, the parsha is Vayechi, not Vayigash. And on Torah Anytime, and on Kol Haloshon video, we're doing it simultaneously on Kol Haloshon, KolHashiurim.com, and Torah Anytime, the shir on Vayechi. So I hope everybody enjoys it. We passed this Sunday Asar B'Teves. It has the 10 questions that you can download on TorahAnytime.com, the questions and the answers. And then in about 5 weeks, we're going to put up the Tu B'Shvat, which is 4 weeks and 3 days. And now let's go to Vayechi, the last parsha in Bereshis, which means by next Shabbos, we know that it's 12 weeks from Simchas Torah, because the 12 parshas in the Bereshis. Let's take a look at those on the Kol Haloshon telephone heard the first parsha, but the people on Torah Anytime didn't hear it, and the people in video, Kol Haloshon, didn't hear it either. Let's review Vayechi. Vayechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim. And Yaakov lived in Eretz, in the land of Mitzrayim, 17 Shana, 17 years. Vayehi Kol Yimei Yaakov, it was the days of Yaakov, Shnei Chayav, the years of his life, Sheva Shonim, 7 years, V'arboim Mamad Shana, and 140 years, 147. V'yikru Mei Yisrael Lemus, and it got close to the days of Yisrael to die. V'yikra Levno Yosef, he called his son Yosef, V'yomer Lo, he said to him, because Yosef was the prime minister, the Pharaoh, if I found favor in your eyes, put your hand under my yerech, my hip, hold me up, support me, which means I rely upon you. See, saw imadi, and do with me chesed ve'emes, chesed and emes. Emes means, you know what? Al no tikvreni b'Mitzrayim, do not bury me in Egypt. Al means lo, turn it around. Lo, do not, no, please, bury me in Mitzrayim. What means put your hand under my yerech? Hirsch, Rav Shamshval here says, when you rely upon a person, he's like supporting you. He's holding you up. He's sitting on you. When you hold somebody up, he's supporting you. You're relying on him. That's a euphemism, a lashon sagi nohar. It really means like by Avram and Eliezer, Simno Yodus Takas Yirechi means you held on to the bris. That was the first mitzvah that Avram did with Mesiras Nefesh, because he did other mitzvahs. But this is the first mitzvah he waited for until Hashem told him. All the other mitzvahs he did by himself. He figured it out. But bris, he was commanded. You know why he waited till 99 to have a bris? And why didn't he do it like he did all the other mitzvahs? He figured out the Yahadus by himself, from Teva. There was no yeshiva, no sefer, no book, no Moshe Rabbeinu, no Matan Torah, no nothing. He figured it all out from Teva. He was the Choker Horishon, the first investigator. Super brilliant mind. All the kings and the princes of all the country came to Avraham. He was the master astrologer. He taught astronomy in Egypt. And there, eventually, he got to teaching him about the Borei Olam, the Creator, who made all this. Anyhow, so when he told Eliezer, Simnot Yod Chotakas Yirechi, means hold on to the bris, because in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, when you made a shvu, you had to hold on to a pair of tefillin or Sefer Torah or something like that of kedusha. And nowadays too, in the Western world, they say put your hand on the Bible. Where do you think they get it from? So this bris by Avraham Avinu was very choshev. He was 99. It came with great hardship. Why did he wait until 99 to do that one mitzvah? Because it was the hardest mitzvah of all. When someone tells you to do something, your personal independent personality says no. I don't want to be told by anybody to do anything. I don't want to be told. You have an independent free will. Once you go against your free will, you get the maximum reward. So Hashem told her at 99, have a bris. He was weak. He could have said, I'm old, I'm weak. And then, why did you tell me before? It's probably not so important. It's probably not as important as the other things. In fact, that's out of the 248 positive mitzvahs. If you don't do them, you don't get punished. If you do an avera, you get punished. You do a chet, you get a chatos. You have to bring a korban chatos or an osham or this. But if you don't do a mitzvah, you don't get punished. Except bris, you get kores. And Korban Pesach, you get kores. The only two of the 248 positive mitzvahs that if you don't do them, you get kores. Because bris sanctifies the body, and Korban Pesach sanctifies your God. He's going to take you out of Mitzrayim, and you trust He will do that. It's the continue. The Korban Pesach is the beginning of the Jewish nation. You sanctify the Jewish history, and the bris is sanctify the Jewish body. You have to take these two bloods and mix them together in Pesach time and smear them on the door. So out of the 248 positive mitzvahs, you don't get punished for any of them if you don't do them. If you want to feel sorry, you bring a korban olah, but you don't get punished except for bris and Korban Pesach. So anyhow, Avram Avinu was waited till Hashem told him. He had three friends. One said, "Don't do it, you're too old." One said, "Yes, do it." Other one says, "I don't know." So the one that told him to do it, you know who that was? Mamre, Mamar Echad. Listen to the statement of the one, of God. Therefore, the Torah always mentions the Kiryas Arbas and the near Mamre because he gets honorable mention. Anyhow, Yaakov says to Yosef, "Put your hand under my hip, hold me up, I'm relying on you." It's a euphemism for holding on to a Dover Kodesh. He says, "Don't bury me in Mitzrayim," for three reasons, says Rashi. First of all, they're going to deify me. I don't want that. I've stopped the hunger. I stopped the hunger, right? They're going to deify me, make me into a god. I don't want it. Number two, one day, 200 years from now, there's going to be the Asara Makos. One of the Makos is Kinim. Third one, lice. I don't want them crawling around my body. And the third reason he doesn't want to be married there because he doesn't want to be makabel upon himself Gilgul Mechilos, rolling in the tunnels from Egypt to Eretz Yisrael, to the Mordas of Machpelah, to get up, have Tchias HaMesim, because everybody in Eretz Yisrael gets out of the graves at Tchias HaMesim. All other people in the world also have Tchias HaMesim, but they have to roll to Eretz Yisrael. Now, what does that mean? From America, you're going to roll 5,000 miles under the Atlantic Ocean, and then for 1,000 miles through the Mediterranean, really? And from way up north, you're going to come through all of Europe and Asia, and down from South America, you're going to go up. What does that mean? Gilgul Mechilas. We have no clue, but he didn't want to makabel upon himself, Yaakov. So he says, "Don't bury me here for three reasons. Take me back to Eretz Canaan. I want to be buried in the Ma'oras HaMachpelah, where my father and grandfather are, and Odom Arishon, 4 couples there, in the town of Hebron, where the Chaverim are buried. Kiryas Arba, the city of the 4 couples. Vayichi, Yaakov lived. Vayichi Yaakov, he lived. Eretz Mitzrayim, Shvayis Shana, 17 years. So he told Pharaoh in the last parsha was 130. That means 147. That's why he lived. So it says that days of Yaakov came to die, and you find out in a minute that it was not true. He had 15 years to go. Because 130 to 147, 30 to 147 is 17. And this is the second year that he's in Mitzrayim. He's only 132 now. How do you know? You'll see in a minute. So why is he worried? Because it says in Chazal, when a person reaches within 5 years of the death of one of his parents, he should worry about it. 5 years before or 5 years after. Gemara. His mother died at 132, and now he's 132. How do you know his mother died at 132? Rivka, Yaakov's mother. Because, I'll tell you why. When Yitzchak married her, he said she was 3 years old. Not true, said the Medrash. She was 14. 11 years old to 14 is 3. When Yitzchak had the Akedah, he was 37 and Abraham was 137. And there was this girl, Rivka, who was Lavan's sister. She was 11 years old, and she got the neshama of Sarah. And 3 years later, she married Yitzchak. He was 137. He got married at 140. So 3 years later, from 11, she became 14. Said the Medrash HaGadol. So she had a 3-year-old neshama. That's what it means. She was 3 years old. When a man is a ger at 40, he has a brand new neshama. So she had a brand new. She had a brand new neshama. So at 11, there was Akedah. When Yitzchak was 137, when he was 140, she was 14. So 11 years old, that's a Kedah, plus 3 years old, 14, she was 14. 20 years, when that means Yaakov, when Yitzchak, when he married her, he was 40. That means to say she was 14. And then they lived together 20 years without children. That means 20 and 14 is 34. And then Yaakov and Yitzchak were born. Yaakov and Esau were born. And at 63, he took the brachos from his brother. So 63 and 34 is 111. And then 20 years he stayed Yaakov to work for his uncle. 20 and 111 is 132. That's it. And on the way back, he heard that his mother died, 132. And now he's 132 years later. And he's worried about it. And he has 15 years to go, because 130, 147 is 17 years he lived in Mitzrayim. But he was worried about it, because that's the law. Within 5 years, plus or minus your father or mother's misa, you have to worry about it. So, Vayichi, it says that Yikru Ben Yisrael Lemusa days came to die. He thought, he was 132, he has 15 more years. Yikru Levanoli Yosef, he called his son Yosef, Yomelo Imno Matosichem Benecha, Imno, if I have found favor in your eyes, which means, if you want to do me a favor, all these years you want to do me the favor, because I'm the father of the Pharaoh, the king, I don't want any favors from this government, I don't want favors from anybody, I don't like to take, I like to give. So therefore, now, finally, I have a request, I really have no other person who can do this. If I found favor in your eyes, which means if you want to do me a favor, put your hand under my hip. It means a euphemism. And do with me chesed ve'emes, and everybody knows the Chevra Kadisha are called the organization of chesed ve'emes. Chesed and emes, you can't get paid by that person. And if no one pays you have to do it for free. Chesed ve'emes. Emes, Aleph Mem Tov. 3 things you're supposed to do for a mace. Aleph Mem Tes. Aleph Mem Tov. Aron. Mita, a coffin, a bed, and Tachrichim, shrouds. Aleph Mem Tov. And that's the physical thing. And what's the spiritual thing you do for the 3 spiritual things you do for a mace? Hesped, eulogy. Levaya, accompanying him to the cemetery, and Kavura, burial. Do with me chesed ve'emes, I can't pay you back. Do not bury me in Mitzrayim for the 3 reasons I gave you. V'shechavti, I will sleep in my bosa with my forefathers. In the Sosani, you'll carry me b'mi Mitzrayim from Egypt. Ukvartani, you'll bury me b'kvurosam, and their burial place in Hebron, Kiryas Arba, which that big place is there, the Ma'oros HaMachpelah, the cave of the double caves, where the 4 great peoples are buried. I'll do exactly what you say. The Yomi says, Ashovali, swear to me. Don't you trust the tzaddik? Why do you have to? It's tzaddik! His word isn't as good as gold. He says, swear to me. Yishovalo, he swore to him. Yisrael, and Yisrael was laying in the bed. He bowed down, al rosh hamita, to the top of his bed, because the Shekhinah always was on the top of the bed of a chole. He also bowed down to the top of his bed, the top of what his bed produced. That's Yosef. That he's still a tzaddik tomim. The fact that he's Pharaoh is irrelevant. He's the tzaddik tomim. And now, why didn't he trust the word of a tzaddik? Because Yaakov understood that he's going to be under tremendous pressure from Pharaoh to leave him here, deify him. He stopped the hunger after 2 years. It didn't go 7. We had 5 years of good instead of 7. We only had 2 years of hunger. And then when Yaakov came, he told Pharaoh, as soon as you go out into near the Nile tomorrow morning, the Nile will overflow to your feet. It's not a avodah zarah or you, it's me. It's a koyach of Hashem gave me that you made my son a king. I want to thank you. And you gave pasture land to all my children. So you don't have to believe in avodah zarah. I can predict when the Nile will overflow. That's a bracha he gave him. So he said Pharaoh will put pressure on him not to let him out. Swear to me. Now I'm going to tell you what the Mayan Beis HaSheva says. When you swear, you got to use Hashem's name, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. It says in Aseret Divros, Lo Siso Hashem Elokecha Lashov. Don't use God's name in vain. Ever! It's a cardinal sin. When Hashem said, at the Har Sinai, didn't happen yet, but when Hashem said at Har Sinai, Osisa Hashem Elokecha Lashov, third commandment, the whole world trembled, was rumbling the earth. Yizdaze, Shemayim V'Oretz. When Yosef used that name, he started to tremble. Then Yaakov knew. I had an assumption, he said Tzaddik Tomim, but now I know for sure. Man's trembling. He's not putting on a show for me. He's really Tzaddik Yesod Olam. He's the real article. Then he bowed down to the top of his head. Baruch Hashem, I was successful. Even the Pharaoh of the country is a Torah Jew. Now let's look at the word Vayichi. I said yesterday in the telephone shir on Kol Haloshon, I forgot to say a very important thing. Vayichi is Gematria 34. So it says Yaakov Vayichi only lived 34 years in his whole life. Out of 147, he only really had 34 good years. 17 years from time Yosef was born, and he worked 6 years for Lavan, and then a couple of years on the trip going home, and then until he was sold at 17. So that was good years. And 17 years in Mitzrayim from 130 to 147. That's his whole life. That was the best part of his life. Doesn't it say the same thing about Vayehi Chayesora, Vayiyu Chayesora? That's also 37. This is 34. Vayechi is 34. 10, 20, 8, and 6 is 34. Vayiyu is 37. Sora's years from the 90 to 127 when she died and when her son had the Akedah. 90 to 127 is 37. Vayiyu Chayesora, Vav Yud Hey Yud Vav is also the life of Sora, 37 years. 90 to 127 is 37. When she had a son, went to the highest Madrega. So why did Sarah die? Some say because she thought he was killed. Other ones said she heard by Nevuah that he was not killed. He had depressed her very much. What's wrong with him? So Sarah was one of the greatest people in the world, and and Yitzchak, her son, had the neshama of Rivka. Sarah's neshama went into Rivka. Rivka married Yitzchak. And here came Yaakov from that. Can you imagine what we're talking about? Yaakov Bechir Ha'ovos, the choicest one of all the forefathers. He went through the most sorrows. So Vayichi is 34. Let's take a look at that. Really, were there such good years, such wonderful years? The last 6 years working for himself, okay, very good, very nice, 6 years. But going home, those 2 years, a year and a half going home, he had to encounter the Esav's angel, and then he had to face Esau. He thought he was going to kill him. And then Devorah died, and on the way home Rivka died, and Rachel died, 3 of them, and the 12-year-old boys, Levi and Shimon Levi, wiped out a whole city, and he was worried that people were going to attack him, and Dinah got Ma'anes. It's not such good, those 2 years. So it comes out that the 7th day was as soon as Yosef is born. Yosef is the nemesis of Esau. It says when Mashiach comes, Yaakov is going to be Yaakov le'esh. He's a fire, contained fire. But Yosef is lahava, is a flame, like a bolt of lightning. He'll destroy Esau. That's why the first Mashiach ben Yosef, is going to destroy Esau. Then he's going to be killed. Then comes Mashiach ben Yud, of Yehuda. But that's why Rachel died so early, because Mashiach was going to get killed first, and Rachel was only 26 because she got married. Well, he was 5 years old, and then he worked 7 years, and 7 years, and 6 years, 20, and 5, and 25, and a year and a half on the road. She was 27 when she died. And he was 99. It's always a 72 years difference. Anyhow, so don't worry when you marry a bacher that's 8, 5, 10 years older than you. This 72 years older. I mean, I can't compare the others to us. So let's go further. After these things, Achar is very short. Acharei is many years later. And it was told to Yosef by Ephraim, Yosef's son. Behold, your father is sick. Surprise, sick. What's the surprise? 147? That's why he's now 147. But when he had said to Yosef, don't bury him in Ephraim, he was 100 and 132. So it's 15 years. Achrei, a long time later, after these things of getting promised he's not going to get buried in Mitzrayim, he said to Yossi, Yossi was told, Hine, surprise. Your father's sick. You know, what's the surprise? Until Yaakov, nobody got sick, and before they died, they just dropped dead. Before Avraham, no one looked old. When the little boy was born there at 100 years of age, and Yaakov was 100, the Yitzchak was 1 year old, or 2 years old, or 3 years old, and Yitzchak was Yaakov was I don't know, a few years old. Yeah, and when Avram was 103, the boy was 3 years old. They looked the same. So Avram was mispalel for zikno, so they should give respect to a father, and then they know the difference between a father and a child. They looked the same, old and young. That's what we have in Rashi way back there in the beginning of Bereshit there. That until Avraham, there was no zikno. Everybody looked the same. Can you tell the difference between a rock that's 5,000 years old and one that's 500 years old? And until Yaakov, no one got sick. You just sneezed, and you sneezed your neshama out of your body. Didn't it say in the beginning God blew into Adam, nishmas chaim, he blew into his body nishmas chaim, and then when it was all over, he made us sneeze, and you blew out the neshama, and you dropped it. So Yaakov said, please let people in the world get sick and old for weeks or months that are prepared for the end and arrange their matters. So that's why every time you sneeze now, in Hebrew you say la briut. Or in the Gemara Lashon, la briut means to your health. Asutta in the Gemara means to your health. Or in Yiddish, zu gesund. Or in English you say, bless you. Because it used to be a curse. When you sneeze, you blow your neshama out. So Yaakov was mispalel for old people should get sick and give them a chance to do tshuva. Hine, behold, surprise. Avicha chola, vikach ishnei bonav, he took his two sons, Imo, as Menashe and as Ephraim, the older one first and the second one. Menashe and Ephraim. And Vayagel Yaakov, and it was told to Yaakov, Yom Hine bincha Yosef boy lecha. Behold, your son Yosef is coming. Vayechazik Yisrael, and Yisrael, that's his name, strengthened himself, he's laying on the bed. Vayeshev Al-Mita sat down on the bed, because have respect for the king, it's a covet. The Yamar Yaakov the Yosef Al El Shakai, God of Shindal Yud. Near Eli Beluz appeared to me in Luz, which is Beisel, which is near Yerushalayim area, 15 miles north. Be'eretz Canaan, the land of Canaan, Yevorachos, you bless me. I want to give you that bracha. V'yom Eli, he said to me, Hineni Mafrecha, I'm still going to increase you. Yosef was born already, but not Binyamin, so how much can you increase? One person, Binyamin. Mafrecha, I'm going to increase you like Peiros. V'hir b'sicha, I'm give you urvu, children and grandchildren. I'm going to make you a kahal, a kahila, a big kahila. That's the last son. Binyamin, he had 10 children. No one had that much. And amim, I'm going to make for you, 2. Ephraim and Menashe. And the Satyas order says, I'm going to give these children to your children. And you give this land to your children. Acharecha, after you, achuzas olam, everlasting statute. Everlasting land rights. Now, therefore, the 2 sons that are born to you, the Eretz Mitzrayim, the land of Egypt, ad boi elecha, before I came to you, elecha, Mitzrayim in Egypt, lihem, they're mine. They're not like my grandkids. They're like my sons, because I'm going to make them equal with their uncles. They're going to have a chelik in one of the 2 parts of the 12 parts of Eretz Yisrael. Levi doesn't have a part, and Yosef doesn't have a part. So Yosef becomes 2. Therefore, it takes care of Yosef represents 1, the other represents Levi. Levi has no real estate rights. So they're like going to be equal. They're going to be equal. This grandchildren will be like sons. They'll be equal to the uncles. Lihaim, Ephraim and Menashe, Reuven and Shimon. Ephraim and Menashe is like Reuven and Shimon. Isn't it interesting that Ephraim and Menashe is the same gematria as Reuven and Shimon? Isn't that interesting? 732. Isn't that interesting? Oh, the other one is 731. Al Chad Lo Dok. On 1, we never make never can be off more than 1 gematrias. But they're exactly the same gematrias. Isn't that interesting? The Yiyu Li, they'll be to me. And why does Yosef get double portion? Because he's a Bechar of his mother Rachel. Reuven is also Bechar. Reuven lost it because he did something with the beds. He lost the Bechorah, was given to the other Bechor, Rachel's son, Yosef. He lost the Kahuna, and was given to the third son, Levi. He lost the Malchus, given to the fourth son, Yehuda. He was supposed to, the Bechor is supposed to be the Kohen and the Melech and the Bechor and double portion, everything. He spent the rest of his life doing tshuva. That's why he's the first Baal tshuva in the history of the world. So you can say, wait a minute, hold it. Esav, Cain is also a tshuva. Doesn't it say, he said to God after he realized he killed his brother in anger, he said, God will avonim and so the sin is greater than I compare to you, it's Baal tshuva. Didn't Yishmael do tshuva? Hashem wanted to destroy him, but they said, Basher Husham, at the moment he's doing tshuva, so, but the Malachim said to God, he's going to torture, the Arabs are going to torture Bnei Yisrael, and in Tanakh we see that, and today. Hashem said, Basher Husham, the way he's right now, that's how we judge him. So Yishmael did tshuva. And Cain did tshuva, so how do you tell me Reuven's the first Baal tshuva? Cain did tshuva, but then reverted. Yishmael did tshuva, but his children became Rishoyim Gemurim Adayom Azeh. Reuven stayed Baal tshuva the rest of his life. That's a real Baal tshuva. By the way, my father used to say, the people we have today, the last 30 years since 1970, they're not, Baal tshuva is not the right word. Baal tshuva means you were bad, you good, and then you were bad, you went back. You return. These other Baal tshuvas never were bad. All the bears they do doesn't amount to anything, zero. They didn't know anything. You expect a third grader to know calculus? What do you want from a person who never learned anything? They're not Baal tshuva. That's from people. FFBs who do Anaver, you can't do tshuva. You return to the status where you were. You know what they are? They're called Mevakshe Hashem, searchers of God. That's the right definition, says my father, Zechet Tzadik Ubracha. Here's a picture of him. Where is that picture? Here, him and Rav Shach. How about that? Is that a good picture here? All right. So, Zechet Tzadikim Ubracha. So, Mavakshe Hashem. You're looking for the truth. You never knew anything yesterday. So when Mashiach comes, they're not going to have to bring thousands of korbanos for all the treifas and the Chil Shabbos and other aveiros. They bring one korban. That's it. Korban of ignorance. I didn't know. Please forgive me. Of course, that's a high madrega. The place where Baal Tshuva stands, that Tzaddik Gomer could never get there. You know why? Because the Tzaddik Gomer never did those aveiros. To bounce back that much. He never experienced that. These people tasted it. And they've been there, they've done that, and they return to Hashem. What a power that is. And they're very, very sincere. And the davening, halavai, we should daven like that. And the way they give tzedakah, and the way they're honest. And matbit and covet of Torah. Halavai, we should be like that. We're living in a generation of tshuva. Yes, we have terrible things going on. We have fabulous things going on too. You know, you go to any wedding, and you're thinking you're back before Rashi. You go to every wedding, you think you're back in the period of the Gaonim, because everybody's a Gaon, you know. Anyhow, just listen how they call them up. Well, must be a lot of Gaonim. He says now, so. Anyone that comes after these Ephraim and Menashe, they're children. They're part of Ephraim and Menashe Shevet. They're not the status of their uncles. Hashem Achayim Yikru. They should be called the members of Ephraim and Menashe. Ben Nachalosim in their inheritance. And I, when I came from Padon, which means Padon Aram, Iraq, Bavel, Babylonia, where Lavan lived. Meso alai Rachel. Rachel died on me on the way. Rachel was young, 27. She died very early. That's why Mashiach ben Yosef that comes from her is going to die first. Be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan. But Derek, and along the way, but Od Kibbutz Oris, there was a little piece of land to go yet. Lavo Ephrosa, to come to Ephros, Beis Lechem. Little piece of land. Ekbar Shom Baderech HaPeri, they're right in the derech. I didn't take her to town, to Beis Lechem. Ephros, Shom Baderech Ephros, on the way to Ephros. Ephros is Beis Lechem. Beis Lechem, that is the town of Beis Lechem. Now the question is, why did he take her into town? Kivras Ored, says Chazal. How much is that? That's Tchum Shabbos. The amount you're allowed to walk on Shabbos from a city. How much is that? 2,000 amos. Every amos is about 2 feet. 4,000 feet. 3/4 of a mile. 15 minutes to walk. You couldn't take her to Ephros, to Beis Lechem. 15 minutes. Yaakov says to Yosef, I know what you're thinking. You have some complaints against me. Even though I am matriach you to bury me 200-300 miles up the road in Eretz Canaan, I didn't take your mother a 15-minute trip. You should know, it all comes min Hashemayim. Hashem told me to do this, and you know why? Because in 1,000 years from now, when they leave, to be driven out of the first Churban, that says over there, Lo I know you have complaints against me. You should know. Get it into your brain. Because God told me so. That's why I buried her there. Ezra. She should be a salvation, a help for her children. Because she saw Nebuchadnezzar's brother drove them out of the first Beis Hamikdash. V'hoyu over him Derek Shom, they'll pass through that piece of land right there. Yotzoso Rachel min al Kivra. Rachel will come out of her caver, from caver Rachel, uboche, and cry for the disposed, or not disposed, but the people that driven out of Yerushalayim, the Platim, the refugees. Doesn't it say in Yirmiyahu Lamed Aleph, Kol Barama Nishma, a voice was heard at Ramah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Meshiva, and Hashem says, yes, it's good, she cries for her children. And the children will return to back to their border, back to their country. The amount of this you could plow in a day. Okay. Now we finish up here. It says, V'yai Yisrael as B'nai Yosef, and Yisrael saw the B'nai Yosef. Yomi says, Mi'ela, who are these people? Wait a minute. He learned all those 17 years with Ephraim. What do you mean, who are they? He told them, he the messengers between Yosef and Yaakov all the time. What do you mean, Mi'ela, who are they? Don't recognize your own grandchildren? Boy, so I'm going to tell you a gigantic little secret of the Torah. He didn't say, Haim, who are these people? Who are these Eila, the people I see in the Nevuah coming from Ephraim and Menashe? The worst Rishayim in the world, Aseres HaShvatim, Yeravam and Achov and Yehu, the worst people in the world. Who are these people coming from these two little tzaddikim over here? Eila, who are they? How can I give you, your boys, a bracha? Yom Yosef el Ovid, Baby Yosef is an Ovid too. He says to his father, Bonai Haim, they're my children. I'm sorry, what's going to be from their great-great-grandchildren is not my business. Bonai Haim, Hashem Nosar Liel him. God gave them to me. Midas Adin, Hashem wants them to have offspring way down the line. Who knows how many years? About 1,000 years later, because 210 years in Mitzrayim, and 40 years in the desert. It's 250, and 440 years till they build the Beis Hamikdash, and then the Beis Hamikdash is in the middle of the Beis Hamikdash is 420. It's about 1,000 years. 410, 1,000 years. He gave me Bozeh. Here, it should say Hashem gave me Po. Here, no Bozeh. He showed him the Shtar Erison and Shtar Kesuva. He showed his father the document, the Shtar Erison and the Shtar Nesuyin. Bring him over to me. I want to give him a bracha, which means like this: he saw the future is going to be Rishoyim, but it's not Yosef's fault. Hashem has a plan. Hashem knows that from Yitzchak comes the worst man in the world called Esav. Hashem has a plan. One of the kings of Israel didn't want to get married because he knew he was going to have a Russia son, Menashe. Hashem said, it's not your business. Kufse Rachmana Lamelach. God's strategy, what is that to you? I have a plan. You have to go through the motions. You do it the best you can. And Yitzchak was one of the others. He didn't know that Esav was going to turn out to be an evil person. Hashem has a plan. Kivshei Rachmana. God's strategy is one thing. You do what you have to do. I have to do what I have to do. I have to bring two koichos in the world. Anyhow, so bring them over here. Bring them over here. Which bring them close to me. Meaning this little young generation, these two boys, have to go back to their parents. They have to reconnect with the past. To be a Torah Jew, you got to stick with the old system. You can wear the fanciest clothes. You can go to university. You can do everything you want. You don't have to have any special dress. It's all chitzonius. Look at the Ber Chovos Halvavos. Look at Derech Hashem. Look at Mesilas Yesharim. Look at Orchos Tzadikim. Look at these Svarim. It's all Tochan. Do you really believe? 100%. Are you honest down to the penny? Has nothing to do with chitzonius. So he says, bring them to me. I mean, let them connect with their past in order that they have a successful future. And later on, next parsha, which we're gonna after we're gonna end this soon. He says, "B'chol yivarech Yisrael." He told Yosef, "And these two boys, you're gonna bless. Yisrael's going to be blessed." And every Friday night, parents bless their children. Yisimcha al him k'Ephraim Menashe. Hashem shall bless you like Ephraim and Menashe. 4 words. So why do we have Nan? Add to it another bracha of the Kohanim. Yorecha, Yoer, Yisa. Why do we add the Bichos Kohanim to Bichos Yaakov? Because Yaakov saw that in the future they're going to be Rishoyim. They're this family. Not his fault, not Ephraim and Menashe. They're two tzaddikim. But he saw that's what the future is going to bring. So he says, B'chol yivarech Yisrael. In every Friday night when you bench your children, in you should bench Yisrael. That means that's a blessing of the Ovar. Look how Yosef was successful, bringing up two tzaddikim in a country that was shtufe zimo, that filthy and immoral. And look how successful he was in chinuch, these two boys. That's the bracha of the Ovar. But it won't be good enough for the future. Yivarechecha for the future. Yoer for the future. Yisrael for the future. For the future, that brachas of Avram, of Yaakov to Ephraim and Menashe is not going to hold them. We have to have a future plan. That's the future tense. Yivarechecha, Yoer, Yisrael. That's Bichas Aaron. That has to be combined with Bichas Ephraim and Menashe for the future. Okay, Rabbi Isai, we are finished, and Yus Hashem will continue. If you go and listen, people on Torah anytime, you should listen every day to Kol Haloshen, worldwide number. The number is 646-977-7900. Every day is a different shiur, 40 minutes, every single day of the year. I got 1,400 shiurim read in Kol Haloshen, and about 95 on Torah anytime. So, Rabbi Isai, have a good week. Sei gesund und stark, and that's it.